Hello everyone, I'm Randy Moss. Welcome you to View Fantasy Football, where each week you will get the inside scoop from me, other NFL players, and other View Fantasy Football experts. So hopefully we'll see your face and my face each week so we can talk about what's going on in the fantasy football world, and hopefully we can bring a champion off View Fantasy Football to your home.
That's the great Randy Moss, and he's going to be a big part of View Fantasy Sports throughout the 2010 season. And I'm excited to be able to bring to fantasy sports players and sports fans alike content that really hasn't been available up to this point, content coming from people like yourself. And we're going to have the opportunity to bring this kind of content, real credible content, to fantasy sports players throughout the entire season. But best yet, we're going to be able to have the opportunity to sit down and talk with those players, the Randy Mosses and Randy's friends, throughout the season and break down what's happening and preview games and talk about what happened last week and the fantasy impact, Sean, that these decisions might be taking place or what's happening there on the NFL field. I mean, having the chance to talk to a Randy Moss, can you imagine, like, what right now, after that third preseason game, what's the one question you might ask a Randy Moss relative to giving you a little bit of an edge with your draft day prep?
Aaron Rodgers at Green Bay. I think that just with his offense and the guys that he has around him, I think that he could put up some big numbers again. And I just got to go with, the oldie goldie Peyton Manning, my boy Tommy Brady.
All right, Randy, I'll come clean. I actually have you in 3 big auction leagues this year. Really, how do you feel going into week 1, man?
But I mean, there's a lot of other quarterbacks out there. I mean, you have Phillip Rivers in San Diego. Henny might do a decent job down there in Miami. Come on, Dad, what you got for me?
We just want to understand the story behind the mooning of a Green Bay fan.
All right, Walt, you listening?
Can we clone Randy Moss and put him on all the teams, and then everybody can make money?
I have a feeling there's tons of. I think there's a lot of fantasy football teams that would like that.
From people like yourself, people that are putting up, let's be real, a lot of money to play fantasy football. You guys spend a lot of time, you know your stuff. Dustin Ashby of the World Championship of Fantasy Football, Nelson Sousa, a.k.a. The Franchise, and Sean Childs, better known as CC's Desperados.
About the RBBC, running back by committee. That's something where you have to look and see the history of teams to see if they're starting 2 running backs. For example, a couple of years ago, Chris Johnson was, for Tennessee was playing, and Lindell White was playing also, and they kind of split carries, and then the goal line carries were for Lindell White.
How do you feel about Cedric Benson?
It's interesting. I was kind of, most of the summer, kind of neutral about him. And last year, he probably went around the 5th, 6th round, and he had a pretty good season. He didn't score a ton of touchdowns. Cincinnati's offense was kind of boring, and they ran the ball. They didn't pass very well.
Who wins?
The Vikings.
He actually had food poisoning yesterday, so we wanted, and he actually said,
I just spent $48 on him in an auction. He's got food poisoning?
View Fantasy Football.
We're quickly approaching draft day, and Sean, right now, it's all about being able to find those guys, those players with upside.
Well, let's start with Miami native Devon Best. What do you think about Devon this year?
People, myself included, want to know, when are you going to be done ripping it up, man?
Percy Harvin, I mean, I have to say that, he's got the headache problem, but...
I think the walrus needs to shave.
Do I think that my walrus needs to shave?
Yes.
Well, let me show you. I'm going to show you a picture of my walrus. Let me see. You see him right here?
We're excited to be a part of View Fantasy Sports.
The View Fantasy Football, where you're going to get the inside scoop from me and other NFL players.